VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Good Monday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV. However you're taking us in, we appreciate it. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon, producer number 9. So much more than a producer. How you doing, man?
Doing great. How about you?
Doing well. We just got here.
Yeah, we
moments
did.
ago. There was this guy outside who acted like he owned the place.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
He stopped us and we
Forgot a bottle of larceny bourbon for me, I see. Yeah.
Is he supposed to bring you?
Yeah, that's what I was told. That's what I was told, yeah.
That's what I was promised. Guessing lines for week number 8 in the National Football League coming up. And Kelley, I don't know about you, but week number 7, the hot streak was stopped for me.
Yeah. It was an okay week, but when you're in it in circa millions, Gil, you need better than an okay week, okay?
The whole time I was bigging you up at 9-1, I was drifting you at 8-2, taking all the pressure off.
Yeah, that's subtly what Gil was doing all last week, by the way.
So Kelley's so good at this. And I crashed. I got a 2-3.
I went 3-2, 3-2, and then a 2-2 with the Cardinals pending tonight. Yeah. So
the Packers got me. That was the one that should have won and didn't, and we'll get into all that.
I had that on both entries. Ugh, gross.
Yeah. If you're wondering what this is, guessing lines, we do this every week. We've done it for years and years. What it is I'm in a cocoon. I don't know the lines. This is sort of interactive. You're supposed to play along. The first reaction is usually the best reaction. Not this past week, but usually the best reaction to this. We'll go through the games from yesterday. We'll take stabs at next week. We'll find out how off we are or how close we are to what the actual line is. And within that process, we look to extract value. That's what we do here. First, though, a Survivor update, Circa Survivor. After 5 weeks of Mishugas, technical term, and 2 weeks now of just stopping cold. 5 entries last week out of 221, and then 2 entries this week out of 216 gone. So 7 in the last 2 weeks. We got all the way from 14,266 to 221 in 5 weeks. And in the last 2 weeks, we've gone from 221 to 214. So there we are.
We knew it was going to happen at some point.
Yes, we did. Actual intrinsic value of each remaining, of the 214 remaining, is $66,663.55.
Yeah, still doesn't get any easier to hear every week, Gil.
for you and me both.
Yes.
Yeah, only 1 entry on the Falcons, 1 on the Vikings. Those were taken out here this past week. Somebody was going for someone. I don't know what they. We can always speculate, right? Obviously, were there multiple entries? Did they think that the other side of those was going to be heavily played? I don't think you can make that case for either of those.
Yeah,
Falcons or Vikings. So I don't know what was going on with those two, but nonetheless, let's put it this way. You know what stopped this year? People failing to submit. Have you noticed that?
Oh, really?
Finally, we got to a year where people figured out, this is actually.
I feel like we were still ripping on at the beginning of the year, but now that we've gotten into the real money, people have stopped, I guess.
Yeah, well, maybe that's correlated. Maybe because it crashed so quickly, it was obvious that you couldn't. People who were still in that had to be locked in. And again, I'll say it beforehand. Into week 1. I don't go crazy over people not submitting because people have lives. They forget that they,
and they do. They're
spent $1,000 on each.
They're
of
doing
these.
the signups earlier and earlier.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If you're out here with your bros partying in May and then sign up for some contests and then completely just forget on it, I could see that happening.
I go the other way on the first week, but yeah, good. So at least people are submitting. So again, 66,000 strong, $66,000 per of the remaining 214 entries, and now it's time for guessing lines week number 8 in the National Football League. Hit it.
Let's go. Week 8 guessing lines. Not a single buy-in weekend, Kill.
Not a buy. Have they ever done that before?
I don't know. Doesn't it feel like a weird week for there not to be buys?
Once the buys start, they kind of go till they end, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There's another one, I think the week after Thanksgiving. Like Thanksgiving and the week after, there's no buys.
What you're telling me is there was a buy island.
Yes. Buy island.
Buy island.
The buy island spot.
What do we got on Thursday?
Here we go. All right, Thursday night, Vikings at the Rams.
Whoa. Okay. It's a pretty good game, but this gives us opportunity to talk about a couple of things here with the respective games yesterday. Minnesota loses to Detroit 31-29 in what ended up being a really dramatic finish in this game. I don't know what Detroit was thinking. Early 4th and 7 at their own 33. They faked a punt.
God, that was so bad.
Yeah, Jalen Reeves-Maybin on 4th and 7 only gained a yard, set up Minnesota. Second play of that drive, Aaron Jones in from 34. Touchdown, 7-0 Minnesota early. And you're like, what were you doing, Dan Campbell? 10-0 then, Vikings. And then it was the Detroit Lions show. 5 plays, 69 yards. Gibbs in from 45 to make it 10-7. 3 and out, or excuse me, at least a punt for Minnesota. Next Detroit drive, 5 plays, 83 yards. Goff to St. Brown for 35, 14-10 Detroit. And then Darnold underthrew a pass badly, picked by Brian Branch. By the way, Brian Branch, what a season he is having.
Yes.
Every week he comes up in this exercise.
I mean, that's one of those, that would have been a ridiculous catch if it was a star wide receiver, and he lays out for it.
It's amazing. Detroit, 9 plays, 72 yards. Jameer in from 8, 21-10 at the half. And then they started trading at the beginning of the third quarter. Vikings, big drive. Darnold to Jefferson for 25. By the way, Justin Jefferson, just as good as ever. Cut it to 21-17, but the Lions right back, 9 plays, 70 yards. Goff to Raymond, Khalif Raymond for 21, 28-17. It would get to 28-23 after a couple of Will Reichert field goals. By the way, he never misses. Another guy.
Yeah, it doesn't.
28-23 Detroit. Then Detroit was, so that was 6:04 left in the fourth quarter. But Detroit with the ball up 5. 2nd and 10 at their own 30. Montgomery hit by Joshua Metellus. He fumbles. Ivan Pace Jr., 36-yard scoop and score. 2-point try fails, but Minnesota has the lead, 29-28 with 5:50 left. And then teams would trade 3 and outs after that. So Minnesota actually had the ball with the lead at one point, but they couldn't do anything with it. And then Detroit starting at their own 30 with 2:32 left. Jake Bates, 44-yard field goal, 31-29 with 15 seconds left. That would hold. Lions win. Let me just ask you this. Noted Vikings fan Will Hill thought that the Vikings should have gone for it in this ball game when it was, 4th and 1, I believe? Was it 4th and 1 on that last 3? And I'll have to check exactly. But it was 4th and very short. And he thought they should go for it. And even if they failed, that even if Detroit scored at that point, there would be enough time on the clock for the Vikings to do something about it at that point. But instead, they go ahead and they punt. Detroit can milk it and get the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about it.
I didn't think that
much.
at the time.
Yeah,
either.
I'm not going to say it was the wrong thought. I guess it did not stick out to me at that moment.
Yeah, nor did it to me.
Great job missing the 2-point conversion, though, Minnesota. We needed that one.
Yes,
we needed that one.
So some of us needed that one. Perhaps more interesting, the Rams yesterday. They beat the Raiders. Not that game being interesting because, that game was 3-0 Raiders, and then Minshew picked by Kobe Durant in the first half. We're talking that led to a Rams 4-play 47-yard drive. Kyron in from 13, 7-3 Rams with 3 minutes left of the second quarter. Then the Raiders' next drive, Minshew hit by Kobe Durant, fumbles. Former Skins great Cameron Curl with a 33-yard scoop and score, 14-3 Rams. It would be 14-6 at the half. And then, what do you know? Raiders 3rd and 6 of their own 24. Minshew picked by Jalen McCullough. That set up the Rams at the Raiders 26. Xavier Smith for 24. Kyron in from 2. 20-6 Rams. Joshua Carty would miss the extra point. So then it got to 20-9 and then 20-12 with a couple Carlson field goals. Then Carty doinked a 35-yard field goal try. So it was still a one-score game. And here's where it got interesting.
Here we go.
This has more to do with the Raiders and the Rams, so just play along with me here. Raiders have 4th and goal. So the Raiders are down 8, 4th and goal at the Rams 9, with 2:50 left in the game. What do you do? Alcoa presents What Do You Do? I know it's not the Alcoa thing, but you know what I'm talking about. Well, I'll tell you what Antonio Pierce decided to do. He decided to kick a field goal, Carlson 27-yard chip shot field goal, because when you get a chance to cut a one-score game to a one-score game with 2:50 left, I mean, you got to take that.
I mean, the weirdest part about it was or not, maybe not the weirdest part is what you just described, but it was pass, field goal. Like, if you usually go like that, means you're going for it on 4th usually.
The weirdest part about it is that I learned that the Raiders have a game management person.
Well, of course they do. Every team should, but
apparently theirs was out yesterday.
Oh,
or
really?
Something. No, he wasn't. I'm just saying, because if this was your choice, what are we doing?
Yeah, I have no
so,
idea.
by the way, they make the field goal. Rams, they do have all 3 of their timeouts. Kyron got 14. They went to the 2-minute warning, so the Raiders still had all 3 of their timeouts. They do use them. They do force a punt, but you end up down 5 at your own 11 with 1:39 left, no timeouts. And then Minshew, by the way, was picked again, 3rd and 10 at their own 11 by McCullough, and that was the ball game. Katie barred the door. But essentially what you did was you traded a 4th and goal at the 9, down 8 with all 3 timeouts, for a 1st and 10 at your own 11 with no timeouts, down 5 with 1:39 left. And you can say to yourself, hey, but Gill, it worked out. They used their 3 timeouts, and so they did get the ball back. Yeah, but there was first of all, there was no guarantee that it was going to
Correct.
work.
That worked out perfectly.
It worked out perfectly for them, right? So they got over a part that they had to get over. It still worked out for them, but the trade then is still, again, take one shot at 9 yards,
yes,
and then a 2-point conversion to try to tie it, versus, yeah, we'll take it all the way back, and we get to win this time, though, if we get there. That's the trade-off. We get to win if we score a touchdown, but you still have to go 89 yards with no timeouts, and there is nothing about your offense, quite frankly, that suggests that this is a good proposition.
Yes, correct.
Anyway,
Minshew filling in that game, yes, there's nothing. That was the perfect example, though, of why do you always go for it there, right? It's because it played out exactly the best way it could have.
Unlike the Vikings thing, in real time, I was losing my mind on this, as everyone was.
That was really bad.
Anyway, that's the Raiders. That's later. Minnesota at the Rams. I said Minnesota minus 3.5.
Yeah, a little high right now. It is 3 on the opener pretty much everywhere in L.A.
Oh, interesting.
Vikings taking money, though, right now. Some juiced 3s.
I think Chrissy would say, I like your number better at that. We'll come back. More guessing lines. We'll get to Sunday's games for Week 8 in the National Football League right here on A Numbers Game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Time. There's nothing more valuable. It's what drives everyone to make the most of every moment. We celebrate living large in the now. In a city where time disappears, we create experiences that electrify the soul and memories that will last forever. We go big, we go all night, and here, everyone is invited. So get loose and get loud.
This is Circa. You'll have the time of your life.
Coming up Monday on Follow the Money, we recap a wild weekend in football. A Monday Night Football doubleheader. Well, we know who's meeting in the World Series. Follow the Money weekdays, 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Want to see who at VSiN is on a hot streak? Go to VSiN.com/picks to see all the selections and weekly leaderboard of VSiN hosts, writers, and guests. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get every pick sent to your inbox daily. Just head to VSiN.com/pro.
So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back on a numbers game, live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Gill Alexander. It's my buddy Kelley Bydlon, everybody. Kelley Bydlon. There he is. He's waving. He's the guy waving at you. Hey. Shohei. Hey, Dodgers, Yankees after all, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait for it, but yeah.
So that every time I said, this is the 1 year to do all these different matchups, and then I would end it always by saying, watch, it'll be the Yankees.
Yeah, if you just bet like $10 on the exact matchup every time I said that.
Yeah. Guess who didn't do that? That'd be me. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Bob C-137. Sounds like a city ordinance. He says, got killed by the hook this weekend. Anyone else?
Yeah.
These lines are getting tighter and tighter. Las Vegas 514. Yo, have you ever gotten that heart in your throat feeling? I did yesterday when our quarterback went out. Let me tell you, sheesh. Let's dust off the old flak jacket and get ready for Chicago. He's obviously referring to Jaden Daniels of the DC Skins, who, can I be honest with you? Because everybody was, I appreciate everybody checking in on my mental health yesterday after this. This was always the, Jaden Daniels with the RG3 vibes, and part of the RG3 vibes is also worried that Jaden Daniels is going to get hurt. And RG3's first injury the year that he blew out his knee in the playoffs against Seattle was actually a sprained knee against Baltimore. So if whatever happened to him yesterday, we don't know exactly, we don't think it's broken based on all sort of indications.
X-ray's negative.
X-ray's negative
Did
now
see
officially.
that this morning, yes.
Okay.
X-ray's negative, but undergoing more tests today, apparently.
Yes.
So I don't know what all that
So we
means.
don't know completely what the extent is. But weirdly, I sort of related that to RG3 and felt good that, okay, if this is the injury he gets, we got away with one. Right? Like that's the PTSD I have about it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it just left me thinking yesterday of how many times we've warned about thinner, smaller quarterbacks this stuff happening to, and then like Lamar Jackson has somehow like basically gone unscathed for so much of his career through this stuff.
He has and he hasn't, right? Like, but he has by and large. Yeah, it's the luck of the draw, man. But eventually it'll get you. Riley Grannon, the idea of an apolitical betting segment with Gill's show here 2 weeks prior to election seems impossible. Better to explain where U.S. bettors can participate, difference in poll/election model/betting markets, and then have two guests taking different positions. Seems like Riley does want a segment. He goes on to say other potential election betting topics for Gill: 1, bipolar nature of national polls versus state polls, lack of high quality public state polling; 2, why betting on trends, polling, historical results makes sense in election betting; and 3, manipulation of betting markets. Ooh, that third one. How about manipulation of polling also? This is going to be fascinating.
Jeez, Riley. You're going to talk yourself into a guest spot.
Sounds like you want to be on. Ben Handorf, Gilly, regarding the Megapod discussion, I would love to see a video version. Audio downloads be damned. I'd particularly love to see the veins popping out of your forehead, yelling at Todd to stop interrupting, and seeing the guest's face during this would also be great. Yes, it would.
Oh, yeah. The guest face is classic.
What are you talking about? I don't get frustrated at all with Todd.
Gill's at least used to it. It is the guest face is always that's always the one to watch out for.
Todd has never met a sentence of mine that he doesn't feel like he has something more important to say and that should be ended prematurely. Sam Ginsberg, you guys are being very unfair to the Raiders coaches. They were actually planning on winning with 3 field goals in the last 250. Yeah,
I mean, hey, there's all the Vegas jokes, right? Great Las Vegas coach there, Gill. Covers the spread.
I'm working up the courage if I run into Coach at the building to say something.
Good luck on that one.
Hey, Coach, can we chat? How about these mints, huh?
You know what I would say to him? Great job with Brock Bowers, Coach.
That's right.
You really coached him up.
Wow. He's your best receiver, right? All right, what's next?
All right, Sunday, early slate. No London, no overseas games this week. This is 1 p.m. Eastern, Eagles at Bengals.
Eagles crushed the Giants. I mean, I don't know how much of this, where does Eagles good start and end, and where does Giants bad start and end?
Yeah, great question.
I don't know. 28-3. Eagles roll the Giants. It was kind of like, it was just a punt fest early. And then Philly, by the way, it was a sack fest.
It was all
on
the
both
sacks.
quarterbacks.
Yeah, were you watching Red Zone at all?
Oh, yeah.
It was like the craziest Red Zone game I'd ever seen in the first half.
It was 0-0 in the first quarter, and both quarterbacks had already been sacked 3 times each. I'm not making that up.
Yeah, it was wild.
Philly then went 5 plays, 74 yards. Saquon in from 3. That was set up by Saquon for 55. Or as Scott Hansen calls him, Saquon.
I did not catch that.
All day. I didn't know it was pronounced that way, but he's like Saquon. 7-0 Philly, second quarter, like 8:58 left second quarter. Then the fourth sack of Daniel Jones. Philly got the ball back. 4th and 3 at the Giants 41. Hurts to Brown for all of it. 14-0 Philly, and the route was on. Jones then got sacked a 5th time. Hurts got sacked a 4th time. This is still in the first half. Giants would get a touchdown nullified off of a PI, and they would have to settle for a Joseph 38-yard field goal, 14-3 at the half. Then in the second half, Philly, 10 plays, 77 yards. Hurts in from 1 on a Tuchus push, set up by a Saquon, 38-yard scamper earlier, 21-3. And then Jones was sacked for a 6th time. Saquon for 41 to start the drive. The old revenge Saquon game.
Yeah, that's right.
Spurred a 10-play, 92-yard drive. Hurts in on another Tuchus push, 4th and goal from the 1, 28-3. You don't need to know the rest. In the end, Hurts was sacked 4 times. What is it, respectively? But the Eagles quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett got in, and then Drew Lock got in for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was not happy about that. But in the end, Hurts was sacked 4 times. Eagles quarterback sacked a total of 5 times. Daniel Jones was sacked 7 times. Giants quarterbacks a total of 8 times. So that was fun.
I was not surprised at all to see the Giants go to Lock, because whatever. Yeah, whatever.
Because you didn't know if it was just because the game was hopeless at that point and it was just spreading from injury, or if it was a performance thing.
And whatever, with those 2 quarterbacks, you want to see a little bit of Lock this year in times like this. I think that's how I'd treat it. I was a little bit more surprised that Hurts left as early as he has, just because this offense hasn't really been firing on all cylinders, but...
They don't feel great, the Eagles.
They don't.
Dayball says that Daniel Jones is his starting quarterback coming up in Week 8. And Cincinnati beats Cleveland. Charlie Jones opened it off with a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown for the Bengals to make it 7-0. It was still 7-0 when Cleveland had the ball late second quarter. We know what happened here. 2nd and 6 at the Cincinnati 21 with 1:26 left in the half. Deshaun Watson, non-contact injury, a clear rupture of the Achilles tendon. DTR in, by the way, immediately a PI in the end zone. Next play, Chubb in from 1, but the offense was off sides. They did get in with Nick Chubb from the 1 on 4th and goal from the 1 to make it 7-6. And, of course, any fleeting Cleveland excitement immediately gets extinguished by a missed extra point, because just that's how it's going for Cleveland. It was 7-6 at the half. But the Deshaun thing, man, they start booing. They start, like, cheering the fact that he's, like,
rough,
hurt.
yeah.
It's like, I get it. You hate Deshaun, both for his performance and the off-field stuff. But, like, there is, at that moment in one person's life, when your leg is just, when your calf is detached from your heel, yeah.
First reaction was I was going to pick up my phone and text you. I'm like, what's even the point? Like, it was that obvious.
You know,
like,
it was, you didn't need an expert in Achilles ruptures to tell you that was an Achilles.
There was that, and then look, I was a guy pregame having fun on Twitter too about some of the fan reactions of. Did you catch the Chubb? There was someone put out a video of Chubb running out, and then Deshaun Watson running out, and it was like all these cheers for Chubb, Deshaun Watson, all these boos. Like you said, I want to see Jameis in this offense. I'm going to see Jameis. I didn't want Deshaun Watson to get hurt, though. Like, we're never rooting for anybody to get hurt.
And especially not like that. I mean, they have to pay him every one of these dollars, by the way. Every one of them.
I mean, that's the other part. If you want to extend that conversation, which maybe we'll do in later days, but these whole fully guaranteed contracts, right? We all thought this was going to be the last time we saw it. If you're a player seeing that yesterday, why would you want to not ask for that?
7-6, second half. Cleveland 4th and 2 at the Cincinnati 35. DTR incomplete, intended for Chubb. Then Cincinnati would take that, go 5 plays, 65 yards. Burrow to Chase for 18 to make it 14-6. Then DTR was picked off deflection by Sam Hubbard. A little later, they could have taken a 57-yard field goal try to extend the lead, but they're like, Cleveland's not going to be able to do anything. So, they cleverly played it conservatively. Eventually, they got 4-play, 50-yard drive. Burrow to Higgins, made it 21-6. DTR picked again. McPherson would miss the 50-yarder, and then Cleveland would get a touchdown with Jameis at the helm, 21-14. They did declare an onside kick, but it failed, as they all do. 21-14, Cincinnati wins. I will say that Cincinnati, this was a tough line to make. Cincinnati hosting the Eagles. Cincinnati I split the difference between a field goal and a pick'em. Cincinnati by 1.5.
And it is 2.5, I believe.
Oh, wow.
I'm having trouble finding this game.
I thought I was going to be wrong on the other side.
Yeah, this one's. I'm a little surprised too. I bet a lot of openers yesterday, Gill. This was not one of them, but I'm close.
Cincinnati still gets a little respect in the market.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
So Cincinnati by 2.5. Wow. Okay.
I just thought that. I mean, that defense is still bad on the Cincinnati side, and the offense not looking super sharp.
While we're here, do we have a Cleveland game that we can?
We do. Ravens at Browns.
So the Ravens play tonight, part of the doubleheader in Monday Night Football. They take on the Bucs in the good game, at least on paper, of the matchups tonight. Deshaun ended up 15 of 17 for 128 before his injury. DTR was 11 of 24 for 82, and Jameis was 5 of 11 for 67. They held Cincinnati, Cleveland did, to 223 total yards, but they were -2 in turnovers and lost. I'll say I split between 7 and 10. Now that it's Jameis, it's got to be Baltimore -8.5, somewhere in there, right?
Circa's got 8.5. South Point's got 10.
South Point's got 10. There you go, Chrissy, Vinny, and Jimmy. Getting aggressive with it.
Yep.
Sight unseen on the Ravens. We'll come back. More guessing lines for Week 8. Looking for value. Not sure I'm jumping at anything yet, but the night is young, as they say. Coming back.
And they're off.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Always love this time of year when the sports equinox is upon us with all four major sports in action, and there's no better time of year to be a sports bettor. And with our new Sports Equinox special, there's no better time to become a VSiN Pro subscriber. Sign up now. Get full VSiN Pro access to everything we do through May 1st for only $120. That includes daily best bets, betting splits, and all of our exclusive betting content for the MLB playoffs, college football, the rest of the NFL season. March Madness is in there, the NBA and NHL regular seasons. The NFL draft is in there, the Masters. All for less than $20 a month. Don't miss this limited time offer. Visit VSiN.com/subscribe to sign up now. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback. Michael Burns, how much is that condo going to go for in your building? From Antonio Pierce. Well, that depends. Is it a one-bedroom, a two-bedroom? I assume he has a two-bedroom. I don't know. That could be pretty hefty.
Not every floor plan's the same, right?
By the way, nothing has happened. He's still the head coach of the Raiders, if you're tuning in right now. Mariners Geek. What are you guys talking about? The spread was 7. Of course Antonio P. is going to kick the field goal and get it from 8 to 5. I believe Kelley mentioned that. And then O'Dale says, hey, Gill, will they be moving the start of the World Series up since these teams were determined this weekend? Didn't someone say that was an option this year? I did say that, except the option to make it earlier was if both championship series ended within 5 games. So because the National League actually ended in 6, there is no moving up the World Series. It will actually start on the 25th. It would have started tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Had we gotten everything within 5 games.
They put those rules in place, but then there's...
Yeah, so it starts Friday night, in other words, instead of tomorrow. Just because we had the one extra game.
NBA-style break, almost.
Yeah, what are you going to do? By the way, about the Deshaun injury and the Achilles injury, which, again, unlike with Aaron Rodgers, right? Nobody is going to sit here and say, I could play this year, because you can't, because Aaron Rodgers is nuts. But the reaction by the crowd yesterday was, what's the word? Deplorable? Jameis Winston had this to say.
I'm grateful that I had a chance to serve Deshaun, but I am very upset with the reaction to a man that has had the world against him for the past 4 years. And he put his body and life on the line for this city every single day, regardless of your perception, regardless of what you thought should happen with him. He committed every single day that I've been here to be the best that he can be for this team.
And then Jameis licked his fingers, which I thought was odd after that. But no, listen, you could say what you want about the dramatic speech there by Jameis, but he's right.
Yeah, he is right.
He's right.
A little dramatic, but yes, he is absolutely correct. It was, even the stuff pregame, it was wild watching that. Like, hey, the Chubb just getting cheered on, and Deshaun walks out and booed, and I don't know what Stefanski was thinking with the. Did you catch the whole quarterback stuff before the game?
No,
Jameis got moved to the third, the emergency quarterback.
That's why DTR got in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there was all the questions, including coming from me, of did you just not want to hear chants all game about Jameis getting in there? That was all weird. All weird.
It's a brutal injury. And he'll be out for the rest of the year, and who knows how much after that.
Yep.
Next.
All right, sticking in the early window, Titans at Lions.
Titans lose to the Bills, but it was interesting at first. First of all, Buffalo's first 3 and out. Amari Cooper dropped a pass on 3rd and 1. We should say that. 3-0 Tennessee, and then Tennessee 8-play, 75-yard drive. They were just taking Buffalo off the field with a couple 3 and outs early. Tennessee 8-play, 75-yard drive. Rudolph to Westbrook-Akine for 4, touchdown. 10-0 Tennessee Titans. Oh, could it be? No. Buffalo next drive. 3 plays, 61 yards. Allen to Keon Coleman from where?
Florida State.
44 yards. Cook for 11, touchdown, 10-7. And then Rudolph would fumble a snap. It was recovered by Terrell Bernard, but Buffalo couldn't do anything with it. And that's how it would be at the half, 10-7 Tennessee. But then Tennessee, the first time they had the ball in the third quarter, this was another one of these where in the moment I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
4th and 2 at your own 44, you're up 3 points. They go for it. Pollard hit for a 3-yard loss. And then the route was on.
Just felt like the game just stopped.
It was
right
over.
There. Yeah.
Buffalo, 6 plays, 41 yards. Allen to Cooper for 12. Touchdown. Amari Cooper for Buffalo. 14-10 Bills.
Did you catch that play afterward? The replay of Cooper not knowing what the play was?
Oh, no.
Yeah, Keon Coleman had to kind of like tell him what to do.
We got to 17-10. Then Buffalo to Cooper for 27, then to Kincaid for 25. Eventually, Allen to Ty Johnson for 4 out. First play of the fourth quarter, 24-10. Rudolph would get picked by DeMar Hamlin. That after Bass added a field goal. Then Ray Davis from 16, 34-10 Buffalo. A game where they spotted the Titans 10 points and scored the next 34. Tennessee, Mason Rudolph, who got the start over Billy Levi's, ill-advised Billy Levi's, 25 of 40 for 215. They were -2 in turnovers. And they're at Detroit, who we talked about, who beat Minnesota. Ooh, this has got to be a big spread.
Yeah.
We haven't had many big spreads this year.
I was thinking about that heading into this week as well.
That is we have lacked that this year as well. I'm going to say 10.5 just to get frisky with it.
And you are light.
Oh.
We're up to 11.5 in this one. Although I do believe it opened closer to where you had it.
We have a lot of bad teams in this league. I don't know if Tennessee's bad or if they just have bad quarterback play. Not that Mason Rudolph was as bad as Billy Levi's. He wasn't.
You know what? It's interesting you bring that up because I feel like I've gotten in more arguments about this team for some reason because I actually think they're really bad. But it's some of this is impossible to tell without getting decent quarterback play.
And I don't know who knows what happens if they don't go for that 4th and 2. Maybe the game ends up the same way. We'll never know. Next.
All right. Sunday, early window, Cardinals at the Dolphins.
Oh, good. Yeah. Arizona plays the Chargers tonight in the nightcap of the doubleheader. A little Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Los Angeles Chargers doubleheader tonight. Do you have a play in either of these games tonight?
I've got Cardinals to close out 2 teasers, and then I have them in my Circa Millions better entry. So, yes, Cardinals, I need Cardinals tonight. I could use them.
Okay. You could use them. So, Arizona sight unseen. Miami loses to Indianapolis. Miami actually led this game 7-0, 11-play, 58-yard drive. Huntley to Jonnu Smith from 10 out on 3rd and goal. 7-0 Dolphins. And then Indianapolis would matriculate, and your guy, Anthony Richardson, 2nd and goal at the Miami 8, would fumble. Zach Sealer recovers. Be 10-3 Miami at the half. Dolphins going to win one, right? No. Miami, second possession of the second half. First play, 1st and 10 at their own 38. Mostert hit by Saguna Luby. Fumbles, recovered by Luby. Indianapolis set up at the Miami 27. 4 plays. Tyler Goodson in from 7. We are tied at 10. And then Miami would have the ball deep in Indianapolis territory. 1st and 10 at the Indy 13. Alec Ingold, loved by many here at the network. Hit by Zaire Franklin. Fumbles. Taven Bryan recovers. So we're still 10-10 game. Then in the fourth quarter, Matt Gay would hit a chip shot 22-yard field goal to put the Colts up 13-10. Then Miami would have a 4th and 1 at the Indianapolis 36. They decide we're going to roll Jason Sanders out there for a 54-yard field goal. I didn't have any problem with that. Jason Sanders usually nails those. Yeah. Doink! Off the left upright. No good, because that's how it's going for the Dolphins. Matt Gay would add a 38-yard field goal to make it 16-10. By the way, Tim Boyle had to come into this game. Miami would get it to 4th and 2 at the Indianapolis 33. They're 33 yards away from winning it, but they got to get 2 yards. And Boyle throws it out of bounds like he didn't even know it was 4th down.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yep.
That was weird.
I was expecting better out of this Dolphins team. I actually thought they were going to show up out of the break.
There is good news on the horizon, though. Tua's supposed to play next week.
Yes.
Okay, so if Tua is playing, I've got this as Miami -3.
Yeah, that's where we're at. 3, some 3.5s we are seeing as well.
By the way, if he's not playing, it should be Arizona -3. Like I do think, whatever your thoughts are about Tua Tagovailoa, it's probably a 6-point difference between he and the backup.
Oh, Tua might be way better than I thought he was, Gill, because I think it's been shocking to see how different this offense has looked without Tua. I thought this team against the Colts with the bye week, with Huntley back there, like I've got enough respect for Huntley that I thought they were going to come out of that bye week and have a little bit better looking offense, and they can't get anything going.
This is, and I will say this again, I loved that in-season Hard Knocks with the Dolphins. I've said it before, last year. And I was like, Mike McDaniel, he's so entertaining. He's quirky. He's interesting to watch. They're in good hands. And then this year, I have to say, there's so much stuff, and this is part of that list, that Mount Rushmore of things I thought I knew, which I didn't know. He has not been good as a coach this year.
I think it's the most shocking dysfunctional team so far, right? Like it just doesn't seem to anything's going right. Nobody's on the same page. And besides Tua being out, there's not much to explain it.
That first performance against the Titans, that primetime game where Tyler Huntley was not coached up at all.
Yep.
And people can say whatever they want. Oh, it's his first time. We've seen so many examples of guys showing up. Baker Mayfield with the Rams being a great example of that. Of guys, Josh Dobbs off the street with the Vikings, right, where they perform well. And the fact that you couldn't get Tyler Huntley, who, by the way, made a Pro Bowl, just want to point that out, somehow. The fact that you couldn't coach him up, and then here they are again. They just look miserable. So we'll see what Tua can do. But the Dolphins are now 2-4, heading into next week's season, next week's game, rather, I should say.
Yeah, and I feel it's like about this time of the season that I say this every year about a team, but the Colts have to be the worst 4-3 team of all time.
of
all time.
In the annals of NFL history?
Every year.
Wow, they're 4-3, huh? Yeah.
They are, right?
All right, I think they are, yeah. Look at who they've beaten.
Yeah, 4-3.
4-3. We'll come back. More guessing lines. I'm still looking for value. I don't really know if I love anything yet. We'll see. Back.
In the heart of downtown Las Vegas, a sports oasis awaits. Stadium Swim, the ultimate outdoor amphitheater, built for the ultimate sports fan, with a colossal screen that brings the game closer than ever. Reserve a daybed, private cabana, or lounge in the center of it all. 6 pools to dive into as the game heats up. And the best part, there's never an off-season. Open 365 days a year. Stadium Swim, it's always spectator season.
Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard share their knowledge of sports, gambling, and pop culture on Follow the Money at a New Time.
Like, the guy can play football.
Yep.
And without him, we're talking about this team maybe being the worst one in the entire league.
On the bandwagon, I was high on this team, but my concern was this awful coaching staff.
They'll keep tabs on the big wins and bad beats from the night before. Plus, get you geared up for the action that's about to begin. Follow the Money, now at 4 p.m. Eastern, right here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Are you the type of player who's looking to get down $10,000 or more on an NFL line at the best price in the market? Or perhaps you're looking to get your in-game play instantly accepted? Introducing Sport Trade, the app that's going to change sports betting forever. Minus 104 lines instead of the typical minus 110. Instant in-game betting and a concierge player service. Sport Trade, perfect for those who want a premium betting experience. They're live in New Jersey, Colorado, Iowa, and now Arizona, coming to Virginia. Download Sport Trade. Use code VSiN to earn 10% cash back on each wager in your first week. Terms apply. Got to be 21 years or older to play. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. It's Gill Alexander. That's Kelley Bydlon over here alongside. Guessing lines for Week 8 in the NFL. Does anybody think these Will Ferrell commercials are funny, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Have we talked about this?
No, yeah, I brought it up as soon as they started airing. You hadn't seen them yet, and I asked you.
Oh, that's right.
I asked you, are these funny or really bad? Because my mind is just conditioned to laugh at anything Will Ferrell does.
That's what they're counting on, and they're not funny at all.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's what I thought.
We've diagnosed it.
You and I dissect commercials better than anybody.
You should do a podcast just dissecting commercials.
We really should. We really should. I don't have good ideas.
How many episodes?
That's the problem.
How many episodes do you think we would get through before we're like, well,
we did them all.
We did them all.
Well, you can do it once every once a quarter, once every 6 months.
Dissecting the commercials with Kelley Bydlon.
I think like a whole 14 people would listen, but yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right, keep on moving. Early window on Sunday. Jets at Patriots, AFC East.
Man, Jets at Patriots, something's got to give. The Jets, did you see this last night? So last night, we had Sunday Night Football, same time as Game 6 of the NLCS. Dodgers beat the Mets. Same time as WNBA Final Game 5, the decider.
There we go, Liberty. There we go, refs, I should say. Good job, Liberty and refs that were on the Liberty.
You don't think that should have been a foul at the end?
It was very meh.
Yeah.
For the closing play in the WNBA Finals, I wouldn't have blown that whistle.
Yeah. Brianna Stewart saves herself because she missed 2 free throws. 83% free throw shooter. She misses 2. Remember, she missed one earlier in the series that cost them. She gets a reprieve. She hits 2. It goes to overtime. And the Liberty are your WNBA champions for the first time ever, and they're an original.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
So what percentage of time did you spend on each of these, would you say?
Oh, great question. I watched the bulk of that WNBA game.
I kind of was into the WNBA game.
But that was also
the consequence.
That was also easier where it started before the others, right? And it's a shorter game.
I'm saying, though, when it was down the stretch of regulation and overtime, and you still had baseball. Baseball was kind of done. The Dodgers were crushing them. Mets were still feisty, don't get me wrong. But then there was the football game. Was your attention not more on the WNBA game?
WNBA was center screen volume up.
Me too. We owe it all to Caitlin Clark. Sorry, Angel. It's true. Okay, Jets last night. This was pretty fascinating. Steelers go up 3-0 on a Boswell 46-yard field goal. Then it's a bunch of trade-offs there. Jets get the ball, 9 plays, 82 yards, 5:41 off the clock. Hall from 13, 7-3 Jets late first quarter. And Russell Wilson now on the next sort of drive, they traded a couple 3-and-outs, but on one of those 3-and-outs, he threw 2 horrific passes.
Oh, yeah.
2 horrific passes to the point where out loud I'm like, oh my God, what is Mike Tomlin is giving this game to the Jets, right? He can't be this bad. I know Mike Tomlin's trying to figure out what he has at quarterback. My God. Literally within a span of one game, I went from that sentiment to, wow, this Mike Tomlin guy knows what he's doing.
It's incredible. It's incredible. He kind of bragged about it post-game,
too. Incredible, man.
But, this guy, it's always Steelers magic, man. It just continues.
It's incredible. Wilson, he ends up throwing this deep ball to Pickens for 44. It ends up being 7-6 Jets. This is still the first half. Then Rodgers to Brees for 57 to the 3. 3 plays later, Rodgers to Tyler Conklin from 1 out when Ulbrich dropped the challenge flag before he could throw it to challenge the second Brees Hall run.
That was so great.
And Rodgers, the great guy that he is, throws it back in just this arrogant fashion at him. It's like, okay, Aaron, stop it. 13-6, the Jets. And by the way, then they call leverage on Minkah Fitzpatrick on the extra point, so it went to the 1. Then they went for 2. That goes to Garrett Wilson, so it was 15-6 Jets.
Can I just say real quick on that one? Yeah, it was a garbage call, but that's really hard to call if you're the refs.
Okay, I'm glad you bring this up. Chris Collinsworth And by the way, I got a tweet from somebody yesterday. It was like, are Chris Collinsworth and Russell Wilson dating? Chris Collinsworth and Tirico also were losing their minds, right? Because who's it? Terry McCauley is the sort of ref consultant, the official consultant there.
Yeah.
They were all losing their minds that they called this leverage on Minkah Fitzpatrick. The officials should not be burdened with determining the force with which he touched those players. That's a call every time. What are they talking about?
This is the WNBA foul all over again. I don't know. There was touching going on.
Just because it's Minkah Fitzpatrick and he's awesome, you're not going to call that? Come on. Anyway, 15-6. They call it, and correctly so, by the way. I don't care what any of them say. And here's the key to the whole game. So the Jets are up 9 with the ball. They have a double dip opportunity. This whole game is in the Jets' control. And Aaron Rodgers on 2nd and 4 at their own 36. Rodgers is picked by Beanie Bishop Jr., which led to a short 4-play, 54-yard Steeler drive that took 48 seconds. Wilson to Pickens for 11. 15-13, we go to the half. And you could sense from there, right, the whole game had shifted. By the way, at 15-6, the Steelers would score the next 31 points unanswered, and that was the first of them. We go to the second half. Steelers get a field goal, make it 16-15. And then the Jets, 2nd and 10 at their own 23. Rodgers' pass bounces off Garrett Wilson, picked by Beanie Bishop again. 41-yard return to the Jets' 1-yard line. By the way, Xavier Newman had to be stabilized and carted off on that play. He did have feeling in his extremities before we got off this broadcast, so that was good to hear. Wilson in from 1, 23-15 Pittsburgh, halfway through the third quarter. Then the Jets would have a 4th and 1 at the Pittsburgh 32. They would advance that, but then Zerline would have his field goal attempt blocked by Dean Lowry. So it would stay 23-15, and Pittsburgh would turn right around, 11 plays, 75 yards. Wilson to Jefferson from 4 out, 30-15. And then the Jets on 4th and 5 at the Pittsburgh 25. Rodgers' pass was batted down. Pittsburgh then, so with 7:53 left in the game, it's 30-15. Todd Wishnev, my buddy, has total passing attempts in this game over 40 and a half. Over 40 and a half. At this point, there are 40 with 7:53 left in the game, and the Steelers up 15. So you figure to yourself, well, eventually the Steelers will get stopped, and, Rodgers will have to throw the ball around the yard. Guess what? Steelers never get stopped. 13 plays, 75 yards. Russell Wilson never throws the ball. The Jets defense knows all they're going to get are runs, and they cannot stop it. It's like a 1982 Rigo drill. They could not stop it. And Wishnev impossibly loses his prop bet. It's incredible. Hashem. 37-15 Pittsburgh, by the way. Najee in from 10. Rodgers was 24 of 39 for 276 in defeat in this game. We'll get to Pittsburgh a little later on because I gotta praise Mike Tomlin a little more later with this Russell Wilson thing. The Patriots, did you see this London game? This was another one of these games. The Patriots were spotted 10 points. It was 10-0. I'm feeling my Patriots +6. I'm like, I'm a genius.
Yep.
I'm so smart. They would never score. I mean, they would score a garbage touchdown in the end, right? 32 points in a row for the Jaguars. Pardon me. They would get 25 points in a row to make it 25 to 10. The Patriots would get a strange drive out of nowhere late. Made a Henry for 32, Keyshawn Boutte for 33, and then a KJ Osborne for 22 to cut the lead. 2-point try would fail to cut the lead at 25-16, and then would actually get the ball back with the back door open.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then 4th and 26 at their own 10, incomplete. By the way, Bigsby would score from there for the final score, 32-16. So it was another one of these strange games where a team like the Titans, right, same thing. A team got spotted points, and then they just laid down like sleeping dogs the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And this was one of them. And Gerard Mayo, after the game, calling his own team soft. May, 26 of 37 for 276, but so much of that was that one drive at the end. It was a 171-38 rushing advantage for Jacksonville over New England. So this is the Jets at New England. I still have to make it Jets by a sizable amount. I'd say Jets -6.5. Is that too much?
That is not too much. Up to 7 now.
Oh, my God. I always think I'm going to be wrong the other way. The 2-5 Jets against the 1-6 Patriots.
Gosh, there's only one way I could bet that game, and I don't think I can bring myself to.
I can't do it again.
Patriots.
I'm not doing it again. And by the way, Gerard Mayo, I don't know what he thinks that's going to accomplish by calling his team soft. Does he think his players will be like, oh, I'm so glad he called me out. I got to try now.
Yeah, you and I were talking about it a bit during a break, but some of these like star linebacker turned coaches, I get a little scared of like Gerard Mayo expects his defense to be as good as he was when he was a player. And it's like, nah, you were really good, man. Like, you were really good.
This was what Magic Johnson used to say about why he hated being a coach. He's like, well, I realize they're not me.
Right, exactly. Like, yeah, that's got to be tough. It has to be.
We probably could have told Magic that going into it, but that's a whole other story. We'll come back. More weekend. Whole bunch more to get to in hour number 2. Looking for value. Guessing lines. Right here on the Numbers Game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It's that magical time of year, the sports equinox, when all 4 major sports are in action.